So when clients come to me, we're working on fixing health issues, we're working on their gut, we're working on their skin, we're working on all these different layers. And by the time they're done with me, they get three things. They get a way they should be eating, cleanse recommendations, and supplements. And the thing that goes through my head is not just what I need to tell them and what they need to do, but are they actually gonna follow through on what I tell them to do? And so when a client's sitting in front of me and they're telling me their story, I'm listening to what they're saying, but I'm also processing how they're saying it. How is this working? Because the way that this works actually changes what I recommend to them or how I speak to them, because it's not about the supplements or the cleanse or the diet protocol. It's about how I communicate these things to them. And the thing that always plays through is this. And what is this? This is the mind, your subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind I find very interesting because it's programmed literally before we're born in utero and before we're 10 years old. So by 10 years old, you know how your society works and how your family works and how you are supposed to act and live. And this is this like automatic program. When you start up your computer, you press the power button and it just starts up, right? It's automatic. You don't do anything. Once it's started up, then you can go open different programs, go into Microsoft Word and do what you're gonna do. But it starts up all by itself. Now, we are like that. By the time we're 10 years old, that whole startup program is already done. Like that whole program is already designed. And now that we're 10, we have conscious thinking and we can do what we're gonna do. So the reason I'm explaining all of this is because someone can come in and think that, we need carbohydrates to feed the brain. But I'm gonna recommend a keto diet because they have yeast. And so they're totally against that. Or maybe I have someone who has yeast, but they're a vegan or a vegetarian. And I tell them, well, you're a vegan and vegetarian with a yeast problem, which means you have leaky gut and we need to heal that, which means you need to eat animal products. But, as a vegan or vegetarian, they've created this whole ideology that being a vegan is the best thing. They're a good human being because they're a vegan or vegetarian. Unfortunately, these people, or people in general who are of different groups, look down on other people, right? And so if they're not a vegan or vegetarian, they move outside of that group and they're no longer good enough to fit inside of that group. And this is what I call conditioning, right? We're conditioned as to what is acceptable, what is good, what is bad. And I'm really just trying to express to you that it's all bullshit and none of it matters, right? What matters is where you are right now and what is right. A prime example is Joe, actually. Joe's daughter didn't want to eat meat. And so Joe went out and said she's going to be vegetarian. And I'm like, no, she's not a vegetarian. She's just going through a phase where she's not eating meat. Because the day when she wants to eat meat again, now she has to face the ideology and the criticism of, oh, I thought you were a vegan, or I thought you were a vegetarian, right? That doesn't make any sense. Things web and flow. There's always this like flux in energy in the seasons, right? Things change. As the seasons change, your appetite changes. As I travel to different places in the world, the appetite changes. I don't eat one way. Like I know in North America, dairy and gluten are not my friends. If I'm in Europe, gluten and dairy actually don't bother me that much, partly because it's made completely differently and there's no chemicals. So we have to be aware of what we think is an absolute, because it's not always absolute. Things just change based off of where you are at this point in time. So as I heal people, let's cut down the sugar, the inflammatory foods, right? As you start to get better and feel better, and we want to add in, a little bit of dairy as a dessert or a little bit of gluten, like you're not gonna die, right? Your poops might be bad, but you're not gonna die. So we just need to understand that it's always relative, and the only thing that stops you from getting better is this, right? We look to blame everyone else for everything going wrong in our lives instead of realizing that our world is just an internal or an external reflection of our internal world. So really, what's happening in your world is actually just a byproduct of what's happening in here, and you can only fix what's happening out here by fixing in here. And that usually starts with our conditioning of our household, our society, our ideologies, and just being aware enough to let go of these things. Because you're not a bad person if you eat meat when meat's gonna heal your gut. Or you're not a bad person if you're gonna have some carbohydrates just because no one else is having carbohydrates. So, that that is a difficulty with mine when working with especially new clients, because they don't know how I operate, and they hold on to their ideologies and they hold on to things that other people have told them, and it's like, is it working? You're a vegan and you feel like crap. Is it working? No. So then let's change it. You're a bodybuilder, but you're sore all the time. Maybe don't be a bodybuilder. Maybe your body just isn't in a state for that. Maybe like do a little bit of yoga for a little bit. Or I get yogis and they're like, oh, I got back pain all the time. Well, yeah, you have back pain because you don't work on your glutes. You don't do any squats. You have no stability. So people are always like in the far ends of their world, and they just forget about stability and balance in the middle. And that's really what I'm trying to show you. Is you just have to be aware. If you're a yogi, you got to do some stability. If you're a bodybuilder, you got to do some yoga. If you're keto, having a little bit of carbohydrates isn't going to kill you. If you're a vegan or vegetarian and you're not supplementing your diet and you feel like crap, maybe be open to changing things. So, just perspective and awareness, and I hope that helps.